The opposition leader says he'll scrap a popular electric vehicle subsidy after coming under pressure to say how they'd pay for a $21 billion boost to defence spending. That comes just a couple of days after Peter Dutton said he'd no plans to change the Labour scheme. Anna Mortimer is a taxation expert from Griffith University and joins us now. Very good to see you, Anna. So what's your reaction to this?
It was a bit of a shock and a disappointment, because really this exemption or this taxation measure is the only measure that's available to incentivise the uptake of EVs. So if it's removed, then it will be the fringe benefits tax, the way it works, will mean extra tax for EVs, and it will be a disincentive. So we won't see the uptake of EVs like we are at the moment.
Right. So how does this exemption or subsidy, how does it work? How do people claim it?
So if we look at, so it's obviously part of it's part of a salary package arrangement that employees can enter into, where they can include a car benefit as part of their salary package. And that car benefit is subject to fringe benefits tax. So at the moment, if I use a simple example of a Kona BEV, which is, say, around $60,000 is what they're priced at. So the fringe benefits tax on a $60,000 Kona would be roughly around about 11,700 FBT payable annually. So at the moment, it's exempt. So that 11,700 is exempt. So that's the incentive. So you're not paying that $11,700 a year, whereas with a Kona ICE vehicle, a combustion fuel vehicle, it's roughly around about half that price. So that's why if they remove that exemption, you will find a drop in the uptake of EVs.
Okay. And it's been called a popular subsidy, isn't it? What's take-up been like?
Well, the take-up is, now it only applies to, it's limited because it only applies to people who can salary package an EV. So it's not available to everyone. But the uptake has been significant in the sense we've gone from in 2022, roughly around about only 3% of new vehicle sales were EVs. That increased to roughly about 8% in 2023, and in 2024 it went to 9.5%. So it definitely has made an impact. But if you remove it, most likely will go backwards.
Back in March, though, economists were pointing to a tenfold blowout in costs of the scheme, weren't they? And the Productivity Commission has said it disproportionately favours the wealthy. What's your response to that?
Well, when the FBT EV exemption came in 2022, we didn't have as many affordable EVs coming into the country. A lot of car suppliers would say, well, why would I bring in an EV when no one's buying them? So this FBT EV exemption, so when it came in, yes, the cars that were here were more higher priced EVs. However, it is subject to a luxury car tax limit. So the car can't be priced more than $91,000. So it only applies to vehicles that are $91,000 or less, not anything higher than that. And it's probably, obviously the more higher income earners would be able to afford the EV, but you've got to remember they're still paying a higher price. Now, the EV is the tax that's payable annually, but when they acquire the EV, they're still paying roughly around about up to 30% more in price for that electric vehicle than if they purchased a combustion fuel vehicle.
Okay. So, Anna, what happens in other countries? What are the tax incentives in place in other
Oh,
countries to encourage people to buy EV vehicles? Because there are more of them on the roads, aren't they?
oh
Aren't
yes,
there
there
in
are.
places like
We
Europe?
actually one of the lowest uptake in the world. So at the moment, like if I the figures uptake of EVs in new EV sales in Norway is 90%, Sweden is 60%, Netherlands 30%, 25% the UK, Germany, and France. And now they have a combination of policy. They have fuel efficiency standards, which is being introduced here in Australia from middle of this year. And they have a suite of taxation measures, not just the FBT that we're talking about, this FBT measure. They have what's called a company car tax, which operates the same way. Let's say if I look at the UK method, the UK method did have exemption for EVs. That's now slowly bringing in the tax, but then they also taxed combustion fuel vehicles based on CO2 emissions. Now our combustion fuel vehicles don't get any additional taxes based on CO2. So what the countries do they try to address the price parity between an EV and a combustion fuel vehicle. Like I was telling you before, that's roughly for the cone, it's roughly around about 30%. Price is 30% higher for an EV compared to a combustion fuel vehicle. So what they try to do is they try to address the price difference either through taxes or through rebates.